Delighted to say I've been joined by Club Chairman Richard Beastall. Thank you for joining us, Richard.
My pleasure.
This has taken a couple of days longer to set up than we would have hoped, just for a number of factors out with our control. However, we're here now. I think it's fair to say we'd also have wished to have our sporting director Ian Barraclough with us. However, he has allowed time off to get married. Richard, I was hoping that we could split this interview into 3 parts.
Okay.
Looking back at the past season, a review of the present and what's been going on the past couple of weeks, and a look to the future as well. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine.
First of all, Richard, how do you review last season at Partick Thistle?
I think last season was, if we're honest with ourselves, it was a little bit disappointing at times. I think we had a fantastic end to the season. I think we all left with some great memories of what it's like to be a Thistle fan and those special occasions you get in playoff season. But if we're honest, it was maybe a little bit disappointing at times as we struggled to perform in the Cups to the level we wanted to. The impact of that is that whilst we're in line with our financial targets for the season, unfortunately we don't have extra revenues or extra funding available that would allow us to invest a wee bit more in the squad for next season.
You mentioned revenue there and cup ties, etc. What does all that mean in terms of the financial realities of being a fan-owned club in the Championship?
Well, the financial realities of being a fan-owned club in the Championship are that we don't have the ability to access outside funding to allow us to support the playing squad. I think that if we can compare ourselves to some of the other clubs at our level, they maybe are able to spend a little bit more on their playing budget than we're able to at times. And there's a great deal of correlation. I've spoken about this before. There's a great deal of correlation between how much you spend on your squad and where you finish in the league, and that is actually the amount you have to spend to achieve another place is more than the prize money you get back for getting another place. It's a real risk to take, and it's one that you have to think very carefully about taking.
Last season you changed the football structure.
Yep.
Was that due to opportunities, or can you talk us through why you did that?
The main reason for changing the football structure was we recognised that in order to bring in greater revenues to the club, to allow us to build towards the Championship and build a more competitive playing squad, we've got to start realising more income from player trading. And the thinking between the football structure was to bring in a sporting director who will help us build a football department that will allow us to develop players from our academy right through to the first team, with the ultimate aim of selling them on and helping them achieve more in their careers. So we made a very conscious decision to go down that route. It's the way that many clubs across Europe now operate. So we thought this is the right thing for us to do to improve our football department and ultimately bring in more revenue that we can invest straight back into the first team as we build towards being a Premiership club.
Ian was the first part of that restructure a couple of months ago when he came in as sporting director. Mark's the second part of that restructure as the head coach. Can you tell us why Mark was the choice?
Mark and the skills he brings to Partick Thistle and the first team are exactly what we're looking for. We need someone who can recognise the value that youth plays, that's a fantastic coach. It was clear to us from speaking to people throughout the club and throughout the game, Mark's a brilliant coach. Mark's really gets the best out of our players. He's developed our academy players, he's helped them find their way into the first team, and he fits that structure of working under a sporting director. Mark's made it very clear he's less interested in player contract negotiations and dealing with agents and things like that. He just wants to be on the grass, coaching the team and driving them forward. And I think Mark's the perfect candidate to work under that framework where he's got somebody in Ian who's able to deal with the other stuff.
Mark's appointment probably took longer than you would have wished for. Can you explain to the fans why did it take so long?
We had to negotiate with Mark. We also had to make sure we carried out a thorough recruitment process. We went and spoke to as many people that were available and we thought would be interested in Partick Thistle as we could. Ian spoke to most of the names that you will have seen on social media, so it's not as though we didn't speak to people. We then went into a negotiation period where we're talking to people about what contracts could look like, and when you're doing that, you don't want to be telling the world who you're talking to and what offers might look like, because it prejudices your ability to get the person you want, which ultimately we did with Mark.
Did you always see Mark as being part of the coaching team going forward?
Mark was an integral part of the coaching team for the reasons we talked about earlier, Craig. We talked about Mark's real skills as a tactician and a leader and a developer of young talent. So Mark was always part of the picture for us.
What's the situation with Brian at the moment?
Brian's a club legend. He's a hero. My kids have got his name on the back of their jerseys. Brian will always be welcome at Partick Thistle. We made an offer to Brian to join the coaching setup. He thought about it for quite a period of time and decided in the end that it wasn't for him right now. It wasn't the right time in his career. We've got to respect that with Brian. He's under contract with the club, and I hope he comes and plays for us in our first team next season.
Partick Thistle carried out something that was a wee bit novel, in that you were able to access the footage the documentary crew were taking. What use did you make of that?
We looked at it to see how Mark interacted with the players, to see how he was in the dressing room, to see if he was the right type of leader we needed, to see how he got messages across to the players. So we were really fortunate in that it was a working interview for 10 weeks, and what's more, it was on camera, so we could look at that footage and make sure that we were getting what we wanted.
Does it feel like a new beginning?
It feels like a new beginning. It feels like this is the start of the next phase of our development as a fan-owned club, whereby we develop our youngsters from within. They develop and grow into the first team, and then they move on to bigger careers elsewhere.
We talked here about a new beginning. What does the future look like?
The hard work starts now to build the squad for next season. We've got a number of players under contract. We've got a new first team head coach coming in. We've got a sporting director. So right now we look at the players we've got in our squad. We look at what system they're going to play in, and that's for people who know way more about football than I do. And then we look at building the squad that we've got that can compete at the level we want to in the top half of the championship. Unfortunately, that will probably take a little bit time. So I guess fans need to be a wee bit patient while we go through the process of having all those conversations.
What can the supporters do to help us build better?
I think the best thing the supporters can do is continue to support the club, come along to games, buy season tickets, join the lottery, join the JAGS Foundation, join the JAGS Trust. Any revenues we bring into the club above those that we need to run the core infrastructure go straight into developing players and into the first team squad. So please come and support the club. Give us all the support and all the input you can to help us grow our revenues and build as competitive a team as we possibly can for next season.
Richard, you've spoken there about how increasing revenue would help the club. Is there an argument to say cutting costs would do the same?
There is, and it is something we've looked at, and it is something that we've done. A lot of our cost base is actually reduced year on year, despite there being some real inflationary pressures. But if you take a step back, we're running a business that turns over £3 million. We've got 9 staff across 4 departments. That's not a terribly big number of people to run quite a complex business that has a facility, an ageing building to look after, that welcomes people in to come to games, to functions, for hospitalities, all these sorts of things. So it's not a great staff. Also, as a fan-owned club, we don't have the ability, as previous boards did, to bring in employees within our own business to work within the club. As always, volunteers help us. We've got a great team of volunteers, and if anybody's willing to come and help us volunteer within the club, please do so. We'll welcome you with open arms to the vast team of volunteers that already work here.
Richard, one of the major sources of income to Partick Thistle and to all football clubs are season tickets. The club are hoping to have season tickets on sale Tuesday. To mark the 150th year, trying to do something different, can you talk through the change?
Well, first of all, we're going to have our standard season ticket, so the cost's going to go up a little bit to reflect inflation and our rising cost base. But you'll still get the same benefits, access to discounted hospitality, etc. But we're really excited. We're introducing something new. It's called the JAGS for Generation season ticket, and that's going to cost £50 more. Now, you might say £50, what do I get for it? Well, you get over £100 worth of additional value. First of all, there's a limited edition one-off 150th anniversary pin. There's a special additional hospitality discounts. We're just working out exactly what they look like, but there will be additional access to hospitality. We're going to give you 2 bring a friend tickets to 2 matches of your choice, or 1 match of your choice, so you can get more people to come and support the JAGS. We're going to give you full access to JagZone, We're going to put the cost of JagZone up for the first time in I think it's 12 or 15 years. But if you buy a Jags for Generation season ticket, you'll get full access to that. We're also going to give you priority access to any away games where there's a restricted ticket allocation. We think there's maybe 1 or 2 games this season where that's likely to happen. And finally, you'll have access to a first team training session, probably more than one, so you can come along and watch the boys train.
Thanks for that, Richard. Do you have a final message for the supporters of Partick Thistle?
Yes, let's get behind the teams. Let's go out there and drive and make next season a very successful one. I'm looking forward, not back, so let's go for it.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.